I babysat my grandkids every weekend for free, even when my knees hurt so bad I could barely stand. One morning I came over and found my things in a garbage bag on the porch. My son-in-law texted, "You're not needed anymore. We found someone younger." My daughter just sent a smiley face. That night, I made a call that changed everything. "Hi. I'm Doris. I'm 64 years old. I live alone in Toledo, Ohio. My knees aren't what they used to be. I've had arthritis since my early 50s, and some mornings it feels like knives in my joints just getting out of bed. But for 3 years I got up early every Saturday and Sunday to go help my daughter, Madison. She and her husband, Travis, have 2 kids, Logan, 4, and Ellie, 2. They're sweet kids. Full of energy. Loud. Messy. But I loved them more than anything. They made me feel useful. Like I still mattered. Madison works as a nurse, 12-hour weekend shifts at St. Anne's. Travis works in sales, something with insurance. They both said they needed help, said they couldn't afford daycare. I offered. I wasn't working anymore. I was on a fixed income from Social Security, but I had time. And I loved those kids. So I did it. Every weekend. Even when I could barely walk, I came over. I brought muffins. I cleaned their dishes. I folded laundry. I read books to the kids. I changed diapers. When Ellie had an ear infection, I held her for 3 hours straight, while she cried. When Logan wet the bed, I stripped the sheets, bathed him, and didn't say a word. I just hugged him and said, "It's okay." Madison never said thank you. Not really. She just texted, "You here?" and then head out the door. Travis barely looked up from his phone. Still, I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought family meant showing up, even when it hurts. Then came the Saturday that changed everything. It was cold that morning. I remember because my knees were worse than usual. I almost didn't go. But I had already promised Logan I'd bring banana muffins. I baked them the night before, even though standing that long made my legs throb. I walked up the driveway like always, carrying the muffins and a bag with my sweater and reading glasses. But something was wrong. There wasn't the usual noise from inside. No cartoons on the TV. No kids yelling. Just a black trash bag on the porch. I looked at it. Confused. It was tied at the top, but I recognized the shape. My blue cardigan was inside. The one I always wore around the house when it got chilly. I knocked on the door. Waited. No answer. I texted Madison, "Hey honey, I'm here." Doors locked. Nothing. Then my phone buzzed. It was Travis. "Travis, you're not needed anymore. We found someone younger." That was it. No greeting. No emotion. No goodbye. A few seconds later, Madison texted me. I thought maybe she'd explain. Maybe this was a mistake. She sent a smiley face. Just a smiley face. No words. I stood there, holding a bag of muffins, looking at a trash bag full of my things like I was garbage. I sat on their porch bench because I didn't trust my legs to hold me up. I felt dizzy. Sick. I didn't cry. Not at first. I just sat there trying to understand what just happened. Eventually, I got in my car and drove home. That night, I stared at my phone for hours. I kept looking at the texts, rereading them like maybe I'd misunderstood. Like maybe it wasn't what it looked like. But it was. Around 10 p.m., I called Sheila. She and I had been best friends when we were younger. We grew up together. She moved to Cincinnati and we hadn't talked much for years, but we reconnected at her brother's funeral last year. We'd been texting now and then since. She answered on the second ring. I didn't even say hello. I just said, "They threw my things on the porch and told me I wasn't needed anymore." She was quiet for a second. Then she said, "Start from the beginning." So I told her everything. The unpaid babysitting. The hours. The diapers. The errands. The arthritis. The way they treated me like a ghost in my own daughter's house. When I was done, Sheila said something I'll never forget. "You didn't raise a daughter. You raised someone who saw you as free labor." That hurt. But it was true. She asked me if I'd ever kept receipts. I had. For most of the toys and snacks and diapers I bought. I didn't do it on purpose, I just never threw them out. She told me to gather everything I had. Texts. Voicemails. Photos. Anything that showed I'd been babysitting regularly. Anything that showed they depended on me. She put me in touch with a lawyer. Elder financial abuse, he called it. Said it happens more than people think. Parents and grandparents taken for granted. Used for unpaid labor under the excuse of family obligation. It made me feel sick. The lawyer helped me write a demand letter. It wasn't a threat. It was clear and calm. We listed the unpaid hours, the costs, the physical toll. We asked for a modest financial resolution to acknowledge the time and effort I had given them. Nothing outrageous. Just respect. They ignored it. Didn't even respond. So we filed a case in small claims court. That's when the real fallout began. About a week after we filed, I got my first call from Madison. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail. Her voice was cold, like she was reading a script someone handed her. She said, "I don't know what you're trying to pull, but this is ridiculous. You offered to help. We never force you." I didn't respond. A few hours later, she sent a long text. Said I was embarrassing her and Travis. Said I was acting crazy. Said I was hurting the family. That part made me laugh out loud. Like throwing my things in a garbage bag wasn't hurtful. 2 days later, Travis texted, "You can't sue us. You were just a grandma helping out. That's not a job." I didn't respond to him either. My lawyer did. They started reaching out to the rest of the family. My sister called me. So did my cousin Donna. They both said the same thing. "What's going on? Madison says you're suing them over babysitting?" I told them the truth. That I helped every weekend for years. That they never paid me. That they threw me out like trash. That all I wanted was a little respect. Some relatives took my side. Most stayed neutral. But a few started spreading rumors. One of Travis's coworkers apparently heard he was telling people I had mental issues, and that's why they had to let me go. Let me go. Like I was an employee they fired? But here's where it started to shift. Remember Sheila? She had friends. One of them worked in the same sales network as Travis. She told me that Travis had bragged at a networking dinner that they upgraded from an old grandma to a younger, cheaper sitter. Someone overheard. Word started spreading. A few clients got uncomfortable. One even dropped him. Then something odd happened. The younger sitter they replaced me with? She quit. I heard through a neighbor that she walked out after 3 weekends. Said the kids were wild, and Madison was rude. Said they treated her like a servant. Suddenly, they were stuck. Madison texted again. "We need to talk. Can you come over?" I didn't reply. Next day, she showed up at my door. I hadn't seen her face in weeks. She looked tired. Eyes puffy. Still didn't say sorry. She stood there and said, "Look, I was upset. I overreacted. But this lawsuit is too much. Can we just make this go away?" I asked her one question. "Why didn't you just talk to me instead of throwing my things in a bag?" She looked down. Didn't answer. I closed the door. Later that week, Travis's car got towed from his office parking lot. Apparently, he missed some payments. I don't know the details. I didn't need to. But it seemed like their perfect little life was cracking. Then I got a call from their old neighbor, Diane. She told me she overheard Madison yelling on the phone with her manager, begging for extra shifts. She was trying to make up the money they now owed because of the court case. The small claims case didn't promise a huge payout. That wasn't the point. But the court took it seriously. Especially when my lawyer presented all the texts asking me to come early, or stay late, or help just this one time. We showed the judge photos of the toys and supplies I bought with my own money. We showed her Madison's smiley face text after they dumped me. The judge didn't smile. Madison and Travis looked stunned when they realized this wasn't a joke. They offered a settlement. Not a lot, but enough. Enough that they had to sell a few things. I heard Travis sold his motorcycle. I took the offer. But not because I wanted the money. I wanted to be done with them. I thought that would be the end of it. But then something happened I didn't expect. A woman named Brianna called me. Said she was a single mom working 2 jobs. She'd heard from Sheila that I might be open to part-time babysitting. Her voice was kind. Nervous. She asked if I could watch her 3-year-old son, Carter, 2 mornings a week while she worked the early shift. I said yes. Carter was a handful. But he said please and thank you. Brianna left me handwritten notes. She bought me my favorite tea. She hugged me the first time I helped Carter through a bad tantrum. She didn't treat me like a burden. She treated me like a blessing. It reminded me that not everyone sees old women as useless. Meanwhile, Madison tried to patch things up with the family. She told everyone we'd sorted things privately. But people remembered. They saw how she treated me. Some of them started keeping their distance. And as for Travis? Word spread through the business community. One of his old clients apparently called him that guy who dumped his mother-in-law for a younger babysitter. He lost more business. He started delivering for Instacart part-time. I know because I saw him one day dropping groceries off at the neighbor's house. He didn't look at me. Just got in the car and left. 2 months passed. I thought things were finally settling down. I'd stopped talking to Madison completely. I still hadn't seen my grandkids. That part stung more than anything. But I reminded myself, I hadn't walked away. They shut the door on me. Then one day, I got a message from a blocked number. You win. Are you happy now? No name, but I knew it was Travis. I didn't reply. The next morning, Brianna showed up a few minutes late. She looked shaken. She apologized and handed me Carter, then asked, Do you know a guy named Travis? I froze. She told me a man had come to her work the night before. Said he was from childcare licensing, and asked about me. Said he was checking into whether I was watching kids. Under the table. She got nervous, but when she asked for ID, he didn't have any. Just left. I knew instantly what he was doing. Travis was trying to scare off the one good thing I had left. He wanted to ruin my chance at moving on. I called Sheila. She was furious. She told me to document everything. Brianna wrote a statement. I checked my porch camera. Sure enough, a man matching Travis's build walked past my house the day before, wearing a baseball cap pulled low. He never came to the door. Just circled around and left. It was pathetic. So we filed a police report. Harassment. Then my lawyer sent a cease and desist. Travis backed off, publicly at least. But it didn't stop there. Later that week, I saw Madison at the grocery store. She didn't notice me at first, until Ellie spotted me and waved. Mimi! She yelled it so loud half the store turned around. My heart nearly stopped. Madison looked up, locked eyes with me, and walked away like I was a stranger. Ellie cried. Madison pulled her toward the exit. Didn't even say hello. I stood in the cereal aisle shaking, wondering what kind of mother teaches her child to forget someone who loved them. The next day, a CPS worker showed up at Brianna's door. They said they got an anonymous tip that an unlicensed elderly woman was providing unsupervised care to a child. Luckily, Brianna had already gone through the process of documenting me as a family caregiver. She'd filled out the informal care form 2 weeks earlier, just in case. The CPS visit went nowhere. But I knew who made the call. Travis didn't just want revenge. He wanted to ruin my name. That's when Sheila said, "It's time we stop playing defense." She and I started digging. Public records, social media, local reviews. And we found something. Madison had been running a small mommy group on Facebook for nearly a year. Over 800 members. She gave parenting advice. Shared childcare. Hacks. She even hosted meetups at her house. But she never disclosed she was charging money. She was collecting donations for her events. Selling homemade baby snacks and essential oils without a license. And she posted all of it online. Sheila handed it off to someone she knew, someone who worked in community regulation. I didn't have to lift a finger. 1 week later, Madison's page disappeared. She got a $1,200 fine for selling food without a permit. Another warning for operating an unregistered home business. Her mommy group? Shut down. I didn't gloat. I didn't even tell anyone. But I know she knew it was me. The silence was louder than any words. Still, I couldn't ignore the ache in my chest when I saw kids at the park. I missed Logan's giggle. I missed Ellie's hugs. I missed being part of their world. They were too young to understand any of it. One night, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a crayon drawing. It said, "I miss you, Mimi. Love, Ellie." The handwriting on the envelope was a child's, but the address was correct. I looked at it for 10 minutes before I broke down crying. They were using the kids now. Trying to guilt me back. Or maybe Ellie really did miss me. Either way, I didn't respond. Not yet. Because I wasn't finished. About a month passed after I got that drawing from Ellie. I kept it in a drawer next to my bed. Sometimes I looked at it late at night, and for a moment, I'd think about forgiving Madison. Maybe trying to talk. Maybe seeing the kids again. But then I'd remember the trash bag. The smiley face. Travis showing up at Brianna's work, pretending to be from a government agency. CPS being sent to her house because of me. And I'd remember how they never once said sorry. I was done letting people forget what they'd done just because they were family. And I wasn't the only one. One day, Sheila called me and said, "You sitting down?" I was. She said a woman named Tasha had reached out to her. Tasha used to work with Travis at his old sales job. She'd seen the fallout. Heard how he got let go. But here's what I didn't know. Travis had been using his position to give discounted insurance rates to friends, then pocketing the difference. It had gone unnoticed for years, until a client he screwed over complained. It wasn't just that he got laid off. They were investigating him. Fraud. I don't know if Sheila nudged that along. She didn't say. But I wouldn't be surprised if she did. She always said, "Don't swing unless you're ready to land it." She landed it. Within 2 months, Travis was charged. Not prison-level charges, but enough for a criminal record and a fine they couldn't afford. He had to surrender his license. Couldn't work in finance or insurance again. Madison went back to working full-time at the hospital. She started pulling doubles. She posted on Facebook, this time publicly, that people you love can destroy your life if you let them in too deep. That post got 5 likes. Then I did something no one saw coming. I sent a copy of the court documents from my case to the HR department at Madison's hospital. Not anonymously. With my full name. I also included a written statement about how she dumped her dependent childcare responsibilities onto a disabled family member, unpaid, for over 3 years, then discarded me and harassed me after I asked to be respected. I attached photos of my swollen knees. Receipts. Texts. I didn't lie. I didn't twist it. I just told the truth. 2 weeks later, she was moved to the night shift. She lost her supervisory title. They restructured. I'm guessing they wanted to avoid trouble. HR never replied to me. They didn't need to. Madison's schedule spoke for itself. Then came the last straw. She showed up at my house with the kids. She looked exhausted. Pale. Hair pulled into a messy knot. The kids were in the car. She stood at the door, didn't ask to come in. "I need help," she said. I didn't say a word. "I can't afford daycare anymore. Travis can't find work. I'm drowning, Mom. Please." I asked her one question. "Did you tell your kids why I stopped coming?" She didn't answer. I said, "Go home, Madison. Figure it out." She stood there, staring at me, her eyes full of tears, but not regret. Just desperation. "I made a mistake," she whispered. "No," I said. "You made a decision." She turned around, got in the car, and drove off. That was the last time I saw her in person. The next month, Sheila and I started a project. We opened a small community co-op daycare. Just 3 days a week. Nothing fancy. It was mostly for struggling moms, nurses, janitors, single parents. They paid what they could. Sheila handled the licensing. I helped with reading time, snacks, and play supervision. People respected me there. The parents thanked me every day. One mom cried and hugged me because I taught her 4-year-old to write her name. Every time I left that place, my heart felt light. One day, Logan and Ellie's old sitter, the one Madison operated, reached out. She was working at a local preschool now. She told me, "I quit because they treated the kids like they were annoying. Like they were in the way. I'm sorry I took that job. I didn't know." She asked if I wanted to write a letter for her resume. I did. She was a good girl. Just stuck in a bad situation. Like I had been. A year after it all began, on my 65th birthday, I got another letter in the mail. It was from Logan. His handwriting was better now. It said, "Happy birthday, Mimi. I miss you. Mommy said you don't want to see us. I hope that's not true. I remember your muffins." That time, I did cry. I cried for the little boy who didn't understand why someone disappeared. I cried for all the weekends I gave, thinking it was love going both ways. I cried because even though I was right to stand up for myself, it still hurt like hell. I didn't reply right away. But I kept the letter on my fridge. Someday, maybe when they're older, I'll tell Logan and Ellie what really happened. I'll tell them I loved them enough to show them what self-respect looks like, even when it meant walking away. And I'll tell them the truth about family. Love doesn't mean letting people treat you like you're disposable. Love means standing up. Especially when it's hard.